to the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Smith, the ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Africa, Global Health, and Global Human Rights. He also has co-chaired the China Commission and has been a champion for human rights in China for 3 decades.
The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for 5 minutes.
I thank my good friend for yielding. I thank Mr. McCall for his extraordinary leadership on China, including his commission that has made many, many recommendations. I want to thank Chairman Meeks for his leadership as well, and of course to Chairman McGovern, with whom I've worked on this bill. Mr. Speaker, I chaired a Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission hearing in May entitled China, Genocide, and the Olympics, which helped further underscore why H.R. 1155, the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which I've co-sponsored with Jim McGovern, is so important and so necessary. At that hearing, we heard testimony from Rayhan Assat, whose brother Ekbar, a Muslim Uyghur, at last report is still incarcerated in a concentration camp in Xinjiang. Ekbar is a tech engineer, entrepreneur, media founder, and a philanthropist who won recognition both inside of China and outside. Indeed, our State Department thought so highly of him, he was part of the International Visitors Leadership Program. But upon his return, because he was a Muslim Uyghur, the Chinese authorities arrested and disappeared him into a concentration camp where he has remained for 5.5 years. And what happens, Mr. Speaker, to those swallowed up in these horrific concentration camps? That was something we heard about at another Lantos Commission hearing this past July, where Guzera, a survivor, told us what goes on each and every day. In addition to a horrific firsthand description of unspeakable physical abuse, organized forced prostitution, rape, and every gross violation of human rights imaginable, she also gave a firsthand account of a forced labor factory at which she made gloves for export for 1.5 years. Gozera is one of the lucky ones because she was released when Radio Free Asia broadcast her plight to the world. Mr. Speaker, there are millions of stories like hers waiting to be told, truly nightmarish accounts of President Xi Jinping's genocide. And make no mistake about it, this is Xi Jinping's genocide. He is personally responsible, having ordered it. The rape and sexual abuse of women being held in internment camps, so-called internment camps, forced abortion and involuntary sterilization to prevent the birth of Uyghur children are in direct violation of Article 2D of the UN Genocide Convention, which states in part that genocide includes imposing measures intended to prevent births within a group. Forced labor at a massive scale that allows Chinese companies to profit big time from modern-day slavery is also absolutely pervasive in Xinjiang. Documents obtained by the New York Times and the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists exposed how cruel these plans are, originating again with Xi Jinping, who early next year will be hosting the Olympic Games, which is outrageous. The leaked documents show how Xi directed the crackdown, saying that the Communist Party must put the organs of dictatorship to work and show absolutely no mercy in dealing with Uyghurs and other predominantly Muslim minorities. In one speech, President Xi said that they should show no mercy and that the weapons of the People's Democratic Dictatorship must be yielded without any hesitation or wavering. Mr. Speaker, I am deeply concerned by a report from Josh Rogin in the Washington Post just last week, stating how the Biden administration and Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman sought to undermine the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which passed the Senate last July and the House last Congress 406-3. According to Josh Rogin, Biden administration officials have been quietly telling lawmakers to slow down. Sherman made it clear that the administration prefers a more targeted and deliberative approach to determining which goods are the products of forced labor, close quote. We have no access, Mr. Speaker, to the concentration camps in Xinjiang. We have no idea the supply chains. It's closed. It's a dictatorship. There are no on-site inspections. And again, we are talking genocide against these Muslims who are being wiped off the face of the earth. The Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act prohibits imports from Xinjiang to the United States by creating a rebuttable presumption. And that is the core of this bill, that all goods produced in the region are made with forced labor unless U.S. Customs and Border Protection certifies by clear and convincing evidence that goods were not produced with forced labor. So the rebuttal presumption is the key to this legislation, and it is very workable. As my good friend and colleague noted, cotton and solar panels and so many other things are produced there. We need to know, we need to stop them from coming here. And again, if they can prove the
Gentleman's
manufacturers...
time.
1 minute.
Oh, I thank my friend.
I yield the gentleman next for a minute.
Gentleman
If the
is
companies
recognized
can
for 1
prove that it is not made by forced labor, not made as part of this genocide, then it would be welcomed here. But we know that's unlikely to happen, and so my hope is that we will unite, Republican and Democrat, Democrat and Republican, around this bill and get it to the president as soon as humanly possible. Delay is denial. People are being slaughtered each and every day in Xinjiang, and we can do something, maybe not a whole lot, but something to mitigate and stop it. I yield back, and I thank you.
Gentleman from New Jersey yields back. The gentleman from Texas reserves. The gentleman from New York is